I'm just going to do a very brief, helicopter view of what the plan looks like for the next 3 years, or what we're being recommended today. And then I'm going to hand over to Gray McWhirter and Kay Ryan, who are going to just engage a number of us here in who have prepared parts that they're going to be sharing with us today. Let's go to the first slide. The overall Gen 1K vision that I've just spoken about a few minutes ago, we've said already that these are priorities that we've had for over a decade now. Visions that we've had for over a decade now, and they're based on and in alignment with the values that we discerned, 12 years ago, that we're a Christ-centered movement, we're a mission-shaped movement, that we are a movement that is an empowering movement, that we want to see leaders raised up. We're a movement that is committed to partnership. We're a movement that is committed to empowering people in the gifts that God has given them. And all of those things lay behind the new set of priorities that we have. The next thing to be reminded of, I guess, in this is that, and I like to remind our team of this as well, is that we are not called to dream up together what we think would be good to do for the next 3 years. We are called to catch how God is already at work and get on board with that. Yeah. So our job is not to discern something that sounds really good and that we can get excited about for its own sake. It's to say, Lord, where are you leading us, and how do we make sure we've got on board with it? And we do that knowing that God has already spoken into our collective life together in the years that have gone by, and that speaking continues to animate who we are and where we're going. And it still challenges us, our vision still challenges us, it's still much bigger than we can do in our own capacity. So we come to this next season, again, acknowledging our humble, in humility, our need to be reliant on God and His work among us. Our vision pictures, which we've committed to for a decade now, haven't changed. We're a movement of transforming healthy, we see a movement of transforming healthy communities where lives are transformed, where discipleship is real and ongoing. We see a movement that raises empowering kingdom-focused leaders for within our churches, but also leaders out from our churches into broader society. We see an extraordinary mission-shaped movement of God across our churches and affiliated groups. When we first thought through this, in 2050, New South Wales and ACT, we're going to have a population of 10 million people. If we were to have one church for every 10,000 people, that's 1,000 churches. So this orienting ourselves, forcing ourselves to ask the questions that naturally come when you digest statistics like that, digest realities like that about who we are as a state and our position as and our opportunity as a movement within it. We see our movement also as a movement that impacts our society and our culture and our world, that we are here to make a difference in the world in which God has placed us, and we're here as a prophetic voice in the square, a gospel voice in the public square. There are three buckets of main priorities on the next slide, which have, and this is the first one of them, which are, I guess, sitting as the framework for our next 3 years. And I'm just going to let you know what they are, because they're going to be elaborated on by the speakers that follow. The first one is a continuation of the last 3 years. Over the last 3 years, we've really ramped up our commitment to developing leaders and empowering leaders, and in three dimensions: the breadth of our leadership, the diversity of our leadership, increasing the number of leaders, and you've heard some stats already about how we've gone with that the last few years, and then deepening the character and the resilience and the confidence and the capacity of our leaders. We continue to set goals for impacting significant numbers of leaders in training around our pipelines and multiplication training and consultancy training and all of those things. So that's the first big area. The second main area is around mobilising healthy, multiplying churches. And there's four bits to that. I don't know what it is, Jamie, but my numbers are fine. So yeah, those who were here yesterday, so it's not a competition or anything, but yeah. Yes, that's right. All right, I digress. Maintaining and deepening our momentum in the multiplication of new congregations. increasing the depth and breadth of younger generations who are discipled in our faith communities. This 3 and 4 are sort of related, but there's uniquenesses about them. We know that there is a moment of increased openness that we are in the midst of. So how do we respond to that shift? How do we encourage one another in that shift, resource one another in that shift to understand what it is, what it isn't, and how we best minister in that space? And then help our churches grow a culture of intentional and proactive health. That becomes a cultural feature of who we are as a movement. You saw the story yesterday, many of you who were here, of Armidale Baptists, and wasn't that a wonderful thing to be encouraged about? How grappling with how do we do church in a healthy way when we go from 70 predominantly Caucasian people to a multiracial group of 150 people within, 8 months or so? And the answer is you don't do it on your own. And so we'll continue to develop into that, continue to invest into that space. The third broad area is around partnering for impact. Over the next 3 years, we want to see a further advance in our work with justice and public issues. We are in that space, perhaps in more ways than we have been in the past, but we are looking to make an appointment a staff appointment in there to give some extra coordination in some of that space as well. There'll be more talk about that in a little while. Further develop contextualised and aligned regional ministries. I mentioned just a few minutes ago this importance of, and the wonderful thing to see emerging, each of our regions taking responsibility before God for the vision in their region. And it's this dance between each region doing stuff that works for the region, but also being aligned with what we've agreed together is our overall vision. And it's important that we affirm and continue to develop both of those things. And it's very exciting to see the number of leaders being raised up in our regions to populate those teams, and that'll be spoken about a bit more as well. Developing our property strategies and process to best support churches to enable growth. This whole area we know in the last few years is getting much more complex, and we're doing a little bit of a deep dive to make sure we can be supporting churches well in that space in the next years that lie ahead. And finally, further enabling engagement and partnership in our shared Gen 1K vision. We want to continue to understand that this is a vision that is for all of us, and whether we are a large church that already has multiple campuses, or we're a church that's been around for 40 years, as Craig said, the journey of Narara Valley was, and had not planted once. But yet there is a place for considering how do we connect together in this vision. It doesn't mean necessarily that each one of our churches is going to be planting on their own, but churches can plant together. Churches can engage support structures together to help each other in their health. There are ways we can be working together, and we want to continue to move into those. The one other change over last plan for these next few years is what we've come to understand or come to articulate as sort of some lenses through which we see the next few years. This time last year, we had a workshop, I think it was on the Friday afternoon, and we actually asked each other the questions. We were in discussion groups, and we took the feedback and we worked with that feedback. What are the things that you are seeing around us at the moment that are going to impact ministry in the future that we need to take note of? And some of those things are actually featuring in some of the priorities of the next few years. Others of them, we realise this is actually, if you like, a lens through which we need to see the next few years. There's 4 of them very briefly. One is that we might continue to grow in prayerfulness and in God dependence. We can never outgrow that. And again, we're back to what Emma shared with us this morning. So creating spaces for listening to his word, for prayer, for discernment, for being inspired in that together. That's really, really foundational. The second one is that we continue to see our forward planning through the importance of diverse engagement and involvement, that will champion participation in our shared kingdom mission, particularly in across the dimensions of culture and ethnicity and ability and geography and women and men, and so that everybody gets to play. The third one is around collaboration. We realise that as we listened to Charles from Baptist Care yesterday and others who are part of our wider Baptist ecosystem, that we will make our best contribution as we recognise that each part of the Baptist family has a part to play, and we need to strategically work together. We do that already in quite a number of ways, but we're looking at further ways that we need to do that and to see our planning through that lens. The final lens is one that Tim Dyer actually referred to yesterday, and a challenging one, and that's the lens of digital transformation. And how do we, as churches, continue to get to grips with what this will mean at a couple of levels. One, theologically and ethically. What does it mean for us as human beings to live in this world of AI? What will it mean in terms of social disruption, and what place does the gospel speak into? Well, how does the gospel speak into that in care and in truth? And also, how do we actually use the tools that are now at our disposal that weren't at our disposal even 5 years ago for the sake of the gospel? So that's another lens.